The camera revealed a truth so beautiful, it shattered every assumption Maria Torres had ever made about wealth, privilege, and what it truly means to be rich. Maria Torres had everything money could buy. The sprawling Mediterranean-style mansion in Calabasas, the fleet of luxury cars, the designer wardrobe that could stock a boutique. Yet as she sat in her home office, scrolling through the footage from the newly installed hidden cameras, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face, she realized she'd been living in gilded blindness. What she discovered on that screen didn't just explain why 7 housekeepers had quit in 6 months, it exposed the poverty of her own heart. The problem had started subtly. Rosa, their housekeeper of 3 years, gave notice with a polite but firm letter. Then Carmen lasted 2 months. Followed by Lupita, Sofia, and 3 others whose names Maria barely remembered. Her husband, David, a tech entrepreneur worth $42 million, had been irritated by the constant turnover. "Can't you find reliable help?" he'd complained, as if capable employees grew on trees in their exclusive neighborhood. Maria had tried everything. She'd raised wages to $35 an hour, offered benefits, even provided a brand new vacuum cleaner that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Still, they left. Some gave vague excuses about family obligations or other opportunities. One simply stopped showing up. The mystery gnawed at Maria, transforming her confusion into something darker, suspicion. "Maybe they're stealing," David suggested one evening over their catered dinner, neither of them acknowledging the irony of eating a $100 meal while discussing their distrust of people who cleaned their toilets. "Install cameras. Discreetly." The security company came on a Tuesday, installing tiny cameras disguised as smoke detectors, picture frames, and decorative objects throughout the house. Maria felt a twinge of guilt but pushed it aside. She had a right to know what was happening in her own home, didn't she? For 2 weeks, she watched nothing remarkable. Their current housekeeper, Beatriz, was a 48-year-old immigrant from Guatemala with kind eyes and calloused hands. She cleaned meticulously, never took extended breaks, never pocketed anything that wasn't hers. Maria almost felt disappointed. Where was the explanation for the exodus of employees? Then came the day Maria decided to review the footage from the East Wing, where David's home office was located. She'd avoided that section, assuming her husband's space was off limits even to her surveillance. But curiosity won. She clicked on the file from 3 days prior, fast-forwarding through hours of empty hallways. At 2:47 p.m., Beatriz appeared, pushing her cleaning cart. She knocked on David's office door, a courtesy Maria had never considered necessary, and entered. For 20 minutes, nothing unusual happened. Beatriz dusted, vacuumed, wiped down surfaces. Then she paused at David's desk. Maria leaned closer to her laptop screen, her heart rate quickening. This was it. The theft. The betrayal. The explanation. But Beatriz didn't open drawers or pocket anything. Instead, she stood frozen, staring at something on the desk. Her hand went to her mouth. Even through the silent footage, Maria could see the woman's shoulders begin to shake. What could possibly? Maria grabbed her phone, pulling up the camera app that gave her multiple angles. She switched to the desk camera view, and her blood ran cold. There, arranged in a deliberate line across David's mahogany desk, were photographs. But not family photos. These were pictures from social media, printed out in color. Images of their previous housekeepers. And beneath each photo, David had written notes in red ink. Rosa, too chatty, thinks she deserves respect. Carmen, asked for time off for daughter's quinceañera, entitled. Lupita, reminded me of my mother, couldn't stand looking at her. Maria's hands trembled so violently she nearly dropped the phone. There were more photos, more notes, each one dripping with contempt. Comments about their English accents, their clothing, their presumption in treating him like an equal human being. The final photo was of Beatriz herself. The note read, "This one seems properly submissive. Might keep her if she stays in her place." On the video, Beatriz carefully straightened the photos, exactly as she'd found them. She finished cleaning with the same meticulous care as always. But when she left the room, Maria could see the woman wipe tears from her face. Maria sat paralyzed, her entire world reframing itself in an instant. The mysterious quitting wasn't mysterious at all. They hadn't been stealing. They hadn't been unreliable. They'd been encountering this display of dehumanization and choosing their dignity over a paycheck. And Beatrice had stayed. The question, why, propelled Maria from her chair. She found Beatrice in the kitchen, preparing dinner according to the menu Maria had selected that morning. The housekeeper looked up, her professional smile not quite reaching her eyes. Beatrice, Maria's voice cracked. I need to talk to you. Please, sit down. Mrs. Torres, I have the chicken to prepare. Sit. Please. It wasn't a command. It was a plea. Slowly, Beatrice sat at the kitchen table, a place she'd probably never been invited to occupy. Maria sat across from her, this woman whose last name she'd never asked, whose children's names she didn't know, whose humanity she'd treated as invisible. I saw the photos. In my husband's office. Beatrice's face went pale. I didn't move anything, I swear. I would never. I know you didn't. Maria reached across the table, stopping just short of touching Beatrice's weathered hand. Why did you stay? After seeing that. For a long moment, Beatrice was silent. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but steady. I have 3 children, Mrs. Torres. My youngest, Gabriela, she has diabetes. The insulin costs $400 each month, even with the assistance program. My son, Miguel, he's at community college, first in our family. My daughter Luz, she's 15 and she wants to be a teacher. She met Maria's eyes. I stay because I have to feed my family. Because the money you pay me, it's more than dignity, more than pride. It's my daughter's life. It's my son's future. So I clean Mr. Torres's office, and I see those pictures, and I tell myself that his cruelty doesn't define my worth. My children define my worth. The simple courage of it broke something in Maria. Here was wealth she'd never understood. Beatrice was rich in every way, Maria was poor, rich in purpose, in sacrifice, in unconditional love. While Maria had been spending thousands on handbags, this woman had been performing an act of heroism every single day, choosing her children's well-being over her own wounded heart. I'm so sorry, Maria whispered, and meant it more deeply than she'd meant anything in years. You shouldn't have to make that choice. And you won't. Not anymore. What happened next wasn't a fairy tale. Maria didn't magically fix everything with money. But she did make real changes. She divorced David, horrified by the stranger she'd married. She sold the ridiculous mansion and moved into a modest house. She'd partnered with Beatrice to start a housekeeping cooperative that paid living wages, provided health insurance, and treated workers as the professionals they were. More importantly, she learned the names of Beatrice's children. She met them, knew them, celebrated Miguel's graduation and Gabriela's good health reports and Luz's acceptance into the education program at UCLA, a scholarship Maria quietly funded. Years later, watching Luz accept her teaching certificate, Maria realized that the camera had indeed revealed why the housekeepers kept quitting. But it had revealed so much more. It had shown her that true poverty isn't about money, it's about character. That real wealth is measured in courage, sacrifice, and the grace to choose love over bitterness. The millionaire wife had broken down when she saw the truth on that screen. But she'd built herself back up into something better. Someone worthy of knowing women like Beatrice. Someone finally, truly rich.